President Akufo-Addo has rejected suggestions he has failed in the fight against corruption, insisting he has shown enough commitment through actions taken by his government. Speaking at the Ghana Bar Association conference in Takoradi, the president said, contrary to suggestions, he has cleared his appointees caught in corruption scandals. Every one of those appointees has been or is being investigated. We'll hear from the president in a short while. But the claims being made against the president stem from the numerous corruption scandals that have emerged during the Akufo-Addo administration. Indeed, civil society organizations and many political commentators have scored the administration low marks as far as the fight against corruption is concerned. And let's run through some of the notable cases. So, contracts for sale, cash for seat scandal, GVG scandal, Commonwealth visa scandal, Ghana Maritime Authority scandal, bust 15 million CD contaminated fuel scandal, the Ameri Innovation scandal, and it continues. National Youth Authority 4.5 million CD street lighting repairs training program. NAS number 12, Kwesinya Techi, $11 million presidential bribery scandal. National Lottery Authority CEOs 11 sole source contracts to one person in a day scandal. Ministry for Special Development 80,000 cities websites, 800,000 cities websites scandal, robbing the assemblies. Now, President Akufo-Addo has, however, defended his administration's handling of the cases that have emerged, adding prosecutions will be initiated where necessary. He said corrupt practices in the banking, roads and construction sectors are all perpetrated by individuals who do not respect the laws of the country.
Of the orchestrated attempts by my opponents to hang the tag of corruption on the necks of my government and myself, despite all the manifest efforts being made to deal with the phenomenon of corruption. I just have one simple answer for them. It will not work. I did not come into public life to enrich myself. So far, every single alleged act of corruption leveled against any of my appointees has been investigated by independent bodies such as SHRAJ, the CID, and in some cases by Parliament itself. From the allegations against the then Minister Designate for Energy at his parliamentary confirmation hearings, to that against the former CEO of BOST, to those against the two Deputy Chiefs of Staff, to the conflict of interest allegations against the Minister for Finance, to the claims of extortion against the Trade and Industry Minister, to allegations of doubling in visa racketeering against the then Deputy Minister for Youth and Sports, the then Director General of the National Sports Authority, who, even though exonerated by the CID, later resigned, and the Chairperson of the Board of the National Sports Authority, to the allegations of bribery leveled against the Secretary to the Interministerial Committee on Illegal Mining, to the latest involving the suspended acting CEO of the Public Procurement Authority, PPA, and the dismissed CEO of the National Youth Authority. They have all been investigated or are being investigated by the authorized institutions of the state and not by President Akufo-Addo. It is not my job to clear or convict any person accused of wrongdoing or of engaging in acts of corruption. My job is to act on allegations of corruption by referring the issue or issues to the proper investigative agencies for the relevant inquiry and necessary action. So far, 21 officials of the previous administration are standing trial over their involvement in alleged acts of corruption or causing financial loss to the state, amounting collectively to the tune of some 772 million cedis. Their trials are being conducted in the normal manner, with the safeguards that the law affords all accused persons, so that due process is respected. The courts will, at the appropriate moment, deliver their verdicts. I'm expectant that the criminal conduct, if any, of those responsible for the banking crisis, which is undergoing detailed scrutiny, will be brought to justice very soon if prima facie evidence of criminality is found, which, according to my information, is likely. Government is committed to protecting the public purse, and in spite of the recent happenings of the PPA surrounding its suspended acting CEO, 2.75 billion Ghana cedis has been saved for the public exchequer from January 2017 to July 2019 as a result of the PPA reviewing contracts brought before it for approval, either under sole sourcing or restrictive tendering process.
I'm joined in the studio now by Raymond Dakwa, who has a catalogue of the corruption allegations the Kufuor administration has been bedeviled with. Raymond, we have actually gone through the list a short while ago, went through the list, but I'd like you to update us. The president has given an update as to where the status of these, or what the status of these corruption scandals are, but what do you have?
Okay, so we can do some more, which, for example, the Kenny GVG scandal in this case. You remember that in June 2018, there was this engagement with the communication ministry that they had engaged some Haitian company, Kenny GVG, to monitor the revenue streams of telecommunications in the country. Now, the communications ministry came out to dismiss that particular one, but the office of the president promised to investigate that. Yeah. We've not heard anything by way of their investigation. So for all that we know is that it's the communications ministry that's come out to still talk about it being a good deal and then be no corruption there. The president mentioned the Commonwealth visa scandal. Of course, that particular matter also came up way back in April 2018, except we know that even today, the document which sought to clear the now Deputy Information Minister and the National Sports Authority boss at the time, board chairman at the time, all have not been made public in this particular case. The other issue which has been trending recently is the Ghana Maritime Authority scandal, which involves 135,000 Ghana CD, which was spent on the staff end of year party, and the air conditions which were actually supposed to be in the numbers that were complained about by the people in this case. That has also not received so much attention. What we were told was that government is looking at possible ways of investigating this matter and will come out to tell us what's happening. The president did mention the bust issue, except to say that there were two committees. One sought to clear the gentleman. He was removed from office at the end of the day, but it's unclear whether the other committee held the same view, because that's still not a report that's out there in the open. The other committee also had the first committee's report supposed to be merged with its own, and a professor from KNUSC was supposed to be chairing that particular committee. Indeed, not long ago, you heard the energy minister state categorically that all the leaders of bust over the period who are connected to this particular contaminated fuel matter are going to be investigated and prosecuted if deemed so. So that is where the difference has been. We don't know whether this new investigation has started or it hasn't started at all. Then the Ameri Innovation scandal, we know that this perhaps contributed to the removal of Boache Jakun from office. What we don't know is whether that received the attention from the highest office and the excess amount involved in this case that ought to have been investigated or promised investigation has actually been done and is being finally cleared of doing anything wrong in that direction, or ought to be prosecuted for leading the country in that particular way too. Then the most recent one, and the president did talk about sacking the CEO and the deputy CEOs of the National Youth Authority, the 1.8 million that was paid for some street light repairs training. What we know is that the Public Procurement Authority is still investigating this particular matter.
Yeah. And we do indeed have an update
very
on
good.
that in the bulletin.
But what's unclear is whether or not independent other state institutions feel that this is leaning in the direction of criminal conduct that ought to be properly investigated and also prosecuted at the other end of it. Now, the announced number 12, what they call it, expose. Remember that the Attorney General did mention that the former GFA boss, Christian Techi, was supposed to be going through some process. We know that that particular docket, the Attorney General still says today that it is working on. It asked for some information from the investigative journalists. He said he has supplied every single information that was needed by the government, but up to today, we've not heard whether Mr. Christian Techi is being prosecuted or the matter is further being investigated by any state institution in the direction. Now, that budget of the Special Development Initiative Ministry moving into 2018, that budget that had various elements that were being questioned, including the 800,000, what they call a website. Yeah. All that we're told was that there were plans to bring it down to a reasonable amount. Who inflated this amount? Was that in the right direction? Is it a practice that's been going on within this particular ministry? We've not had any investigation. The minister is in office as we speak today, and nothing has been done about that. Then perhaps the ones that come home, robbing the assembly serious. Remember the 1,600,000,000 cedis contract, which was given, of course, between 2013 and 2019, and renewed without a written agreement in this particular case. What is happening to that? The other one is the 200 million cedis that was paid to Zimla and its sister companies for fumigation. And we know that the expose here suggested that there was a lot of things wrong with that. After 2 years, we know that a dossier has been presented by the police CID to the AG's office. Nobody is standing trial in connection with any of these matters. And there was a hint of that. The president talked about the $1.25 billion Ken Bond saga. What happened after Straj was there was a court that sought to clear the part that Straj thought was problematic. How about the issue that's before the United States grouping, similar to our SEC here, and what's happening to that particular agreement? So these, at least, listed here 18 of them, but in general, we just discussed about 12 of them, some of which have not seen any action at all. Others looks like some action started but stalled along the line, and some government says have come to some conclusion on the way forward. Okay.
All right. Thank you very much, Raymond Akwa. And Raymond made reference to the PPA investigations, and we have an update, as I indicated. It's been almost 3 months since the Public Procurement Authority launched an investigation into a single source procurement by the National Youth Authority, which has cost 3 of the top management their jobs. The NYS Chief Executive, Emmanuel Asigri, had written to the PPA to ratify a 3.78 million CD contract awarded through single sourcing and without prior approval of the PPA as required by law. But the PPA decided to investigate the circumstances that forced the NYA to use single sourcing. When Joy News sought to find out the status of the investigation, a letter dated September 3 and signed by acting CEO, Mr. Frank Mante, said the investigation was very comprehensive and covers the collection of documentary and other evidence as well as interviews of various officers and stakeholders, after which a PPA will proceed to make a determination. The authority said it was yet to conclude its investigation, but points out that there are 4 possible outcomes of an investigation exercise. As such, not every request that comes to the PPA for ratification may be granted, and we'll share the letter with you on the screen. So as this is what we have it, pursuant to the decision of the Technical Committee of the Board of the PPA, the authority calls an investigation to be conducted into the circumstances accounting for the NYA undertaking the procurement activity without recourse to the provisions of Act 663 as amended. In line with Section 89 of Act 663 as amended, the conduct of investigation is a very comprehensive exercise. It covers the collection of documentary and other evidence as well as interviews of various officers and stakeholders, after which the PPA will proceed to make a determination. All right, now moving on, former government advisor on corruption, Daniel Baktedam, has criticized President Akufo-Addo's comments on ongoing corruption investigations, saying the amount of interference. He was responding to the president's comments on how he has handled corruption in his administration. He spoke with Gifty and Apia on the Pulse.
The president has not only been clearing his appointees whenever allegations of corruption have come up, he has also been interfering with the due process. Interference is a technical word that kind of says that you are giving signals that are preempting an outcome. Due process. In fact, in some instances in the past, he has made pronouncements which amounted to judgment on cases even before the institutions he has been mentioning. When you begin to make comments, especially the president of the country begins to make comments about cases that are still under investigation, and even more or less makes judgmental statements, he is prejudicing the outcome of those investigations. In any case, one important and critical ingredient of the investigations that the president has been talking about is the reports that come out of these investigations.
Okay.
Which of the investigations have we seen or their reports being published, so that we will understand and appreciate how the institutions the president that they made.
Well, Director of Corporate Affairs at the Ghana Integrity Initiative, Michael Boadi, agrees. He says, although the setup of a special prosecutor's office is commendable, there has not been enough transparency.
The greatest expectation that Ghanaians had of the president is a very high standard of transparency, both in governance and in processes, which unfortunately it doesn't seem to have. The president does not seem to have delivered that, and that is what many have christened as he being clearinghouse. Transparency had not been his biggest assets in the in the fight against corruption, and that is the truth. So, well, they have delivered some, but a lot is left to be delivered. Let's also say that perhaps the extent to which they have not been very transparent with the investigative processes, they have not been forthright with prosecution and the likes, perhaps may have contributed into the perception that people have about them as being clearinghouse. What we would expect is the level of transparency and engagement between the agencies that are mandated to fight corruption and the public. And we want the presidency to at least stay away. Once he makes reference to these agencies, he should keep off so that the agencies will do their work.
Now, also at the Bar Association conference, President Kufuor has been speaking about media freedoms. He says no effort is being made to suppress freedom of expression in Ghana.
No effort is being made to suppress freedom of expression in Ghana. Indeed, the continuing vitality of the Ghanaian media and the intense diversity of our public discourse remains some of the most internationally admired traits of Ghanaian democracy. However, as I indicated at the World Freedom Day event in Accra last year, there is the need for continuous training, self-regulation, and an insistence on acceptable media ethics and journalistic standards by media houses, practitioners, and their organizations, as part of the process of installing a culture of accountable governance, requiring high standards and professionalism in the Ghanaian media. This is one of the surest ways of addressing the current shortcomings and ills of our media landscape. Politicians are not the only persons who make mistakes. Media practitioners, like all human beings, can also make mistakes. And when they do, they should have the humility to acknowledge their error and not have their misdeeds atoned under the guise of media freedom. Irresponsible media practice is an abuse of freedom of expression, not its manifestation. It was a sad and unfortunate moment for all of us when the journalist was shot by unknown assailants. It was equally sad and unfortunate when this heinous act was described without any evidence as an attack on media freedom. The tragic murder of a member of parliament, the late J.B. Dankwa Edu, the prosecution of whose alleged assailants 3 years later is still pending, has not been characterized and as an attack on Parliament, and for good reason.
You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break, but still ahead in the bulletin. The Electoral Commission has announced the exhibition of the voters' register from tomorrow.
All the 30,702 polling stations in the country will be designated as exhibition centers.
Minister for Parliamentary Affairs says the House is unable to effectively scrutinize budgets presented to it because of the lack of budget officers.
Unfortunately, parliaments are challenged
when it comes to scrutinizing budgets.
And then in business, Ghana leads sub-regional dialogue to improve internet connectivity among some West African neighbors. Stay tuned in, we'll be back in a bit. Now, mobile telecommunications giant MTN has refuted suggestions it intends to shut down its mobile money service as a result of violent disturbances in South Africa and Nigeria. The company in a statement says, contrary to the audio and text messages circulating on social media, it remains committed to serving Ghanaians. Joining me in the studio now to clear the air is Acting General Manager of MTN Mobile Financial Services, Abdul Majid Rufai. Good evening to you, Mr. Rufai.
Good evening.
And thanks for making time. So I'm wondering, why has MTN Ghana been linked to the disturbances in South Africa and Nigeria? I mean, because indeed the rumors have been rife.
Yeah, it's very unfortunate. We woke up one morning just to see text messages, WhatsApp messages being linked to the attacks in South Africa. We had to come out. We gave out a rebuttal on that. And then we saw an audio as well, done by a lady. We also had to come out to also do an audio to refute that allegations. And so that's what we've been doing. I mean, we've been doing this for the past weekend, today, just to allay the fears of customers.
All right, so could it be the case that people just see what's happening in South Africa and Nigeria and they're just thinking that or assuming that then it's likely to happen in Ghana?
Well, I mean, people just decided to do the linkage, but really...
Or probably they're just being mischievous.
I think some people are just being mischievous.
Okay.
That's my honest feeling.
But you're saying that this is not true?
This is basically not true. It is completely false. And everybody should treat it with all the contempt that it deserves. MTN Momo is here to stay. Indeed, we are celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. And we've done a lot of activities in the market to excite the market, including giving away 10 Hyundai cars, including the Hyundai Santa Fe that will be given away to a lucky customer.
So that is yet to be giving out?
That is yet to be given out.
And so the people who are looking forward to winning that, they wouldn't want you to shut down that.
Exactly, exactly. That's the point. They would never wish to share because it is not only the customers, the agents as well, there are prizes for them. The merchant as well, there are prizes for them. So there's no way we shut down the service. In fact, we are incapable of shutting down the service.
Why do you say that?
I mean, Bank of Ghana is highly regulating this environment. And for us, we don't even keep the money. The money is lodged with our 17 partner banks. We have 17 partner banks who are in good standing with the Bank of Ghana. So after the recapitalization, all these 17 banks are banks that are well capitalized and then are holding the float of the mobile money ecosystem.
So essentially you mean whatever money I have on my mobile money account is not sitting with MTN? It's
not sitting with MTN. It's safely lodged with the bank, with any of our 17 partner banks. Okay.
So what should the customers do in this regard? I mean, hearing all that's going around, and yes, you've put out rebuttals, but what are they supposed to do?
We just urge customers to remain calm, to know that MTN's mobile money is live and active. There's no way we'll shut down the service. So we are telling customers, if you don't have immediate need for use of your money, you just need to keep it in your wallet. Your wallet is as safe as your mobile money PIN. Once you keep your PIN safe, your mobile money wallet is safe. And indeed, once you keep money on your wallet, you earn interest on the money that you keep on your wallet. So we'll continue to urge our customers to remain calm, not to do any panic withdrawal as we have heard, and then to tell them that mobile money is here to stay.
All right. Any final words before you take leave of us?
I would like to continue to urge our customers to know that the service is virtually very much alive. We'll continue to give exciting products and services to our cherished customers. We've been making their lives simpler for the past 10 years. We'll continue to do that. It's also worth knowing that we are the first to launch mobile money service in Ghana. We're the first to be ISO certified. ISO certified means the international security standards have been attested, and Bank of Ghana is also heavily behind this. So there's no way we'll shut down the service that is making Ghanaians' life a whole lot brighter, making Ghanaians' life simple, saving the day by people who are at the hospitals at the mercy and are waiting for that funds that within seconds money can go to them. So there's no way that we'll continue to shut down this service. So customers, we want to allay the fears of customers to know that the statement that they are hearing is false. They should treat it with all the contempt that it deserves. And we'll continue to work together to make their life a whole lot brighter.
So you talk about making the customers' lives a whole lot brighter, and I'm trying to imagine, do you have any other exciting packages in the works that you, of course you're celebrating your 10 years. Exactly. Do you have anything you want to share with us? Some exciting package, maybe you're going to waive fees or anything of that sort?
Waiving fees is something that we can always look at. But just as I said, we've given away 5 cars. Yeah. And we'll be giving away 5 cars in this month as well. Apart from the 5, we are giving away TV sets, as 65-inch TV sets. We are giving away 100%. When you top up through mobile money, you get 100% bonus. Those are all exciting packages, and they should watch out for the space. In December, there are a lot more activities and exciting promotions that are coming to make them more exciting. All right.
Thank you very much. And we have been speaking with Acting General Manager of MTN Mobile Financial Services, Abdul Majid Rufai. You're watching Joy News Prime. We're taking a break. We'll be back with showbiz. Stay tuned in. Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Osei Mensobonsu, says Parliament lacks the capacity to scrutinize budgets presented to the House. He attributed this to the unavailability of budget officers to provide what he describes as high-quality research for MPs. The Swami MP says such officers will help them discharge their supervisory duties diligently. He said this at the ongoing 4th African Network of Parliamentary Budget Officers Conference. Here's a report by Philip Ankra Ratu.
Parliament has over the years been criticized for not doing due diligence on budgets, loans and bills presented to the House. Some social commentators have called for the strengthening of the institution. According to the Majority Leader, Osei Mensobonsu, Parliament in its current state is weak when it comes to appropriately scrutinizing budgets presented to the House.
Unfortunately, Parliaments are challenged when it comes to scrutinizing budgets. In reality, the budget comprises 2 components: the economic policy of government and also the expenditures, the revenues and expenditures, involving allocations of funds for the performance of various functions, programs and projects. Now these are predicated on government policy. It's a complex issue, and with 2 eyes, it is difficult to understand and appreciate how these combine to inform government's policy. It is the reason why we are calling for the establishment of such an office, the Budget Scrutiny Office, to be able to inform, to churn out objective information, which then will inform our debate in the House. We are oftentimes left hanging. We are not able to, as it were, confront the executive with real facts and figures.
Speaker of Parliament, Professor Michael Quay, says the creation of such an office will augment the work of the House, especially in the face of the high attrition rates of experienced parliamentarians.
It is worthy of mentioning regrettably that in many parliaments in our continent, parliaments do not have access to the fiscal impact analysis of government policies, particularly, as I may say, in advance, and the cost estimates associated with bills that are to be passed into laws. Parliaments will have to question assumptions and figures brought before it. Besides, most African parliaments are not able to conduct risk assessment in advance and due diligence related to international loan agreements. And we need to sharpen our capacity, background knowledge, analysis, and analytical training in order to be able to do this. And for that matter, it's important for us to be concerned with the attrition rate of parliaments. It is important for parliaments to have the institutional, technical, and analytical capacity to take on the magnitude of budgetary responsibilities. Then, of course, you'll be a poor supervisor because you are not as equipped as the person that you are supervising.
Commenting on the concerns raised by the majority leader, chairman of the Finance Committee of Parliament, Dr. Mark Esibeyeboa, says it is important to employ capable people for the work.
If you have such an office perusing all of these documents, they can just give us a quick 2-pager, and they are an independent office. So this, when we go to the floor, I'm referring to what the Congressional Budget Office or the Parliamentary Budget Office has said. And everybody respects their independent analysis. So that's where I will concentrate my energies. Let's compose the office right. So we go to town, get some good quality lawyers, some macroeconomists, some accountants, certified financial analysts, and then you staff them, you pay them well. So everything that comes to Parliament is referred to them. And then they give their analysis. They don't make policy recommendations.
This year's conference is on the theme, the role of the African Parliament's fiscal oversight, contributing to the Africa Union 2063 development agenda. Philip Ankras reports for Joy News.
The Electoral Commission will from tomorrow, Tuesday, September 10, begin the exhibition of the voters' register. The week-long exercise forms part of preparations towards the district-level elections later this year. Addressing a session of the media in Accra Monday, Deputy Chairman of the Commission, Dr. Bosman Eric Asare, urged the electorate to ask for data correction where needed. He explains the exhibition is also aimed at cleaning up the voters' register by taking out names of unqualified persons, including minors, non-citizens, as well as deceased voters.
The commission will display the voters' register at all polling stations across the country from Tuesday the 10th of September to Tuesday the 17th of September 2019 for public inspection from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. each day, including Saturday and Sunday. All the 30,702 polling stations in the country will be designated as exhibition centers. The register to be displayed was compiled since the compilation of the biometric voter registration in 2012. Purpose of the exhibition exercise. Basically, the exhibition exercise is to allow for prospective voters verify their details, such as name, age, sex, etc., and to be sure they were properly captured during the registration exercise and make requests for amendments or insertions where necessary. Additionally, any person who is eligible to register as a voter may raise objections to names of unqualified persons in the voters' register at the center. In other words, if you suspect that someone's name is in the register, but the person is not supposed to be there, you are allowed to raise an objection. Requests that can be made at the exhibition centers are inclusion of omitted names. This is for a prospective voter whose application for registration was accepted and was issued with a voter ID card, but whose particulars are completely missing from the following: Provisional Voters Register, that is 2016, 2018, and 2019, exclusion or exceptions list, then finally multiple registration list. Objection to names of unqualified voters on the register. Any person entitled to be registered as a voter may object to the inclusion of names of persons on the provisional voters register if he or she believes that they are unqualified to be registered as voters. The voter may be unqualified if he or she is not a Ghanaian,
Now, 1 week after the Joy Clean Ghana campaign team stormed Averno and arrested a resident who was caught dumping refuse at the banks of the Odo drain, residents say they have been keeping watch over the area to ensure the place remains clean. Monday, the team went back to Averno, and guess what? There's been an improvement, except fresh garbage had been dumped this dawn. Emefajra Dozie has more.
We are taking him away.
Inspector Joseph Asitanga there instructing residents of Averno to clean or watch their neighbor face jail time.
So I want to see brooms here, then you start to show a sign of cleaning the place, then I'll let us go. Correct. Now.
Lying by the Odo drain was refuse piled up as though it was a dumping site, with plastics and foodstuff leaving the entire place with a stench. But today the situation is different. The place still looked neat, except the heap of sand that still had plastic bags planted in them, and also what looks like fresh refuse that had been dumped. Oscar Tego, a resident, says he has been keeping watch in the community, making sure the area is clean.
One time, somebody dumped and asked the person to take the rubbish with his hands, his bare hands. Because you can leave your home and come and dump here. Do you want to tell me you want to go home and pick a spade and come and take the rubbish? No. Just pick it. And that woman picked it and dumped it in, and she took away with a curse or whatever it is. Me, I don't mind.
Henry here had been keeping watch as well, but says he gave up when there was no motivation for him and his colleagues, but rather had to bear insults.
I say no, say we are obi yaw, avelo obi nimu, obi yawa obi yaw umami. Won, edina just we yanu. Say ebi ami mami betu mawu, obi yanu. Miso mi play. Say ube yanu edi intokobeba edi better ujaya obi to me embe yawo edi better say yachi 1 2 uzo ube unyansan say de oyanu enye.
Henry says that yes, he was tasked to do the job of observing and making sure people don't throw rubbish here, but he also stopped because it got to a time where people started attacking him, asking him whether he worked with the AMA, asking him whether that was his job, insulting him and insulting some of his relatives. And he said that he couldn't take the pain. He wasn't going to take all of that insults because besides nobody is actually even paying him to do the work anyways. Madam Ajara Ali, who was angry last week that she had to sweep the rubbish she did not make, says the only way this will work is when the AMA officials station their personnel at the area at dawn.
Assembly man, on our boys, on you be, and that's all. If you say I have boys to say me black on forget to no on my ankara, and na AMA phone, on you being bra, no more better. She needs just one thing, that the AMA, the assemblyman, will come together, elect some individuals to stand by and guard here at night. Inspector Sitanga put this entire project in the hands of Godfred, a resident in this area. He says there are plans to see a permanent solution to the problem.
But still, people are still dumping. Yeah. So we will continue cleaning this area till everything is complete. We have decided to level this place. I've talked to the one of the AMA elders, and he promised he will help us with their machines to come and level the place for us so that we cement to the gutter so that we can work here.
The Joy Clean Ghana campaign is back this Wednesday, but be on the lookout. Keep your surroundings clean.
We're taking a break to bring you more business. Stay tuned in.